Okay.
All right. I'd like to call the November 12th, 2020 meeting of the Greenville City Council to order. I'm Mayor P.J. Connolly, and I'll be moderating tonight's meeting. First, I'd like to call on Councilmember Meyerhoeffer for the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Mayor. I would just like to have a moment of silence. Everybody have a moment of prayer or reflection on their own. Thank you. Thank you.
Amen. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Mayor Connolly.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Glover.
Here.
Okay. Councilmember Daniels.
Present.
Okay. Councilmember Bell.
Here.
Councilmember Smiley. Councilmember Smiley.
Here. Here.
Councilmember Litchfield.
Present.
Councilmember Meyerhoeffer.
I'm here.
Okay. Mayor Connolly, we have a quorum.
All right. Thank you very much. We'll now move on to the approval of tonight's agenda. Madam Manager, are there any recommended changes?
No changes this evening, Mayor.
Mr. McGirt, I think, did you want to add something to the agenda or request something's added to the agenda?
Yes, Mr. Mayor and Council, I recommend that Council add a closed session for the following items: an economic development matter and for consultation with the attorney regarding a pending claim.
We'll add that after the comments from the mayor and the city council. Anybody would like to make a motion to approve? All right. All right. Motion's been made by Councilmember Daniels, second by Councilmember Bell. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say nay. I'll now call on the city clerk for the vote.
Mayor Pro Tem Glover.
Aye.
Okay. Councilmember Daniels.
Aye.
Councilmember Bell.
Aye.
Councilmember Smiley. I think Councilmember Smiley has dropped out. I will come right back to him.
Okay.
All right. Councilmember Litchfield.
Aye.
Okay. Councilmember Meyerhoeffer.
Aye.
All right. Councilmember Smiley.
Aye.
All right. That's 6-0 in approval, Mayor.
All right. Thank you very much. We'll now move on to the public comment period. The public comment period is a period reserved for comments by the public. Items that were or are scheduled to be the subject of a public hearing conducted at this meeting or another meeting during the same week shall not be discussed. A total of 30 minutes is allocated, with each individual being allowed no more than 3 minutes. Individuals who register with the city clerk to speak in the order registered until the allotted 30 minutes expires. If time remains after all persons who registered have spoken, individuals who had not registered will have an opportunity to speak until the allotted 30 minutes expires. Madam Clerk, our first speaker.
Okay. First speaker is Mr. Kevon Gaynor. Mr. Gaynor, if you are in the room, you have 3 minutes to address the mayor and city council. Mr. Gaynor, if you are in the room, you have 3 minutes to address the mayor and city council.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Hey, I would just honestly just like to say with this.
Can you hear?
I think you're fading out. Mr. Gaynor, are you still there?
He dropped out, but it's looking like he's popped back in. If we could just give him 1 second.
Okay. Sure.
Okay. It's dropped him again. So.
Do you want to just maybe come back to him? We'll go to the next person, then we'll go back to him when he comes back on. Okay.
Yes, sir. Okay. Next registered speaker is Miss Brianna Hemby. Ms. Hemby, if you are present in the meeting, you have 3 minutes to address the mayor and city council.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I would just like to begin by thanking all the city council members who stood in favor of the Black Lives Matter mural. And for the ones who didn't, I cannot say that I'm surprised. You all used a lot of power to practice blatant forms of systemic racism and white supremacy. There was no valid reason to have so much run around and so many hoops to jump through just to get a temporary street painting stating that the black lives that have elected you all into these positions do in fact matter. It shows that you all are more willing to protect not only your pockets and connections, but the feelings of the racists within the community. We artists have just begun getting any type of direct conversation with you all in regards to this, and that too is a concerning factor, seeing as to how you all have been the only individuals with any type of say in the matter. I hope we can continue this conversation and hopefully reach a middle ground where you all understand the importance of this to us and to the black community within Greenville, and acknowledge that black lives do in fact matter. That is all.
Thank you, Ms. Hemby. Madam Clerk, is Mr. Gaynor back in?
No, sir. I do not see him back in the room just yet.
Okay. Let's go on to the next person if he comes back, and we'll give him an opportunity.
Okay, sure thing. Next registered speaker is Mr. Randall Leach. Mr. Leach, if you are present on the call, you have 3 minutes to address the mayor and city council.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Valerie. I do appreciate it. And greetings to everyone that's here. I do thank you for your time and attention. I want to speak to the fact that we are working really working strong and hard as a group, the artist group, to support Black Lives Do Matter painting proposal, and then now we're working to work with the city on the proposed amendments. We are coming to conversations, which is a really great opportunity for us to express why it's so important that we are representing a group of people under the word of Black. Like this really matters to me. I'm a Black male living in Greenville and living in this southern and it's pain. It's a lot of pain. It's a lot of tough stuff. And there's a cultural sensitivity that is tied to being Black. My wife she's from Kenya. She's a Kenyan who came to this country, and you would look at her and you're going to look at her and she's being associated as under the word of Black. She didn't know the things that would be taking place that are associated under that whole thing, but that is so important that ties all people who have some form of Black in them. We are tied together by a certain painful experience in this country. Regardless of you're coming from another country, that doesn't matter. There's a system that is definitely detrimental to the people who are Black in this society. And so we are working to represent a group of people. This is the people who have donated and supported their $5, their $10, their $20 in order to honor their support and what they wanted to see us do as artists. Know for sure that we formed a Black artist group. We are strong. We are committed. We are very organized. We are very accountable for our actions, and we will make sure that we're going to do everything that we can in order to lift up the group of people who are supporting us, and also to be able to express ourselves as artists. We are talented. I've never worked with such a diverse group of talented people before, and I'm so motivated. And please believe, Greenville, there's some great things to come. We're already in the works on it, and it's going to go forward, and we just want everybody to come together and be able to have these conversations to make sure that we're supported and lifted up instead of giving a knee to our necks. Like, we definitely want to truly express ourselves and show that we can do as artists. Please let us get out there and do it with our voice and input, and let's grow Greenville and let's grow this experience and move it forward in a very, very positive, collaborative, and educational space. The same message that I spoke on before is continuing throughout.
That's time.
We got you. I do apologize for going over my time, and I apologize to those two individuals who were left out of the conversation, Mayor Pro Tem Glover and Councilman Daniels. We apologize for you and to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Leach. I want to say thank you for allowing us to have an opportunity to sit down and speak with you. and being receptive to allowing us to speak with the artists as well and continuous conversations. So I appreciate your time and thank you for your leadership. All right, Madam Clerk,
You're
our
welcome.
next speaker.
Okay. Next speaker we have on the list is Rakia Jackson. Rakia, if you are present in the room, you have 3 minutes to unmute your mic and address the council.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. So I got the pleasure of speaking with some of the council members today. So I did have a speech and I typed it up, but I just want to reiterate like the importance of the Black Lives Matter mural, and that us having that is so important. And it shouldn't, and I'm not saying that, you know, you as a collective do not agree with us wanting to unite against racism, but it just wasn't an initial thought on your end, and I felt like that it was just kind of a second idea because somebody had their own idea, and that kind of happens so often with Black people or the focus on Black people, that when we're shedding light on our subjects and the things that are going on in our community, there's always somebody trying to oppose that or, you know, glaze over the subject. So I just want to just make sure you guys just know the importance of it, and actually having the moment to sit down with the artist, you can kind of understand our feelings and our emotions behind that and where we come from. And I'm appreciative that we get to work together in the future, and hopefully we, you know, come to a terms of something that works out for the Black creators and the message that they want to deliver.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Thank you for your time at that meeting again earlier today. All right, Madam Clerk, our next speaker.
It looks like Mr. Gaynor is back in the room, Mr. Kevon Gaynor, so I can go back to him if you would like.
All right, absolutely.
Okay. Mr. Gaynor, if you can hear me, you have 3 minutes to unmute your mic to address the mayor and city council.
Hey, I'm back. Can y'all hear me now?
We can. Welcome back.
Welcome back. Hey, thank you. Hey, but look, I just really want to take the time, like, man, like, let's get together. Like, let's cheer each other on. Let's teach each other about history. Let's put all the difference to the side, because at the end of the day, we are the future, and the younger generation is the future. So let's be leaders, and let's lead on, because we can't look at it from our point of view. Let's look at it from somebody else's point of view. The point of view that we may not see, the point of view we may not even ever thought about looking at. But let's look at a different point of view. Let's go a different direction. I'm not going to sit here and tell y'all which decision to go, because y'all already know what decision I'm going to say. But I want to say, let's come together. Let's act like some good people, and let's put our brains together, and let's come up with an idea, because you're not against racism. We're not really actually agreeing with that. So we want to stand on something on our terms. And if y'all can just back us up like some good old parents and grandparents, y'all just go ahead and back us up and take care of the folks. That's all I have to say. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Gaynor. I appreciate those words, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. I hope we can come together on something. All right, Madam Clerk, our next speaker.
Okay. Next speaker is Ms. Jasmine Hemby. Ms. Hemby, if you can hear me, you have 3 minutes to unmute your mic and address the mayor and city council.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Jasmine, and I'm one of the founders of the Black Lives Matter chapter here in Greenville. I'm in support of the Black Lives Matter street mural. I believe that it would allow everyone to see that Greenville will stand in the face of racism and say that we will protect our Black community. I would also like to speak on the amendment that was made on Monday to say united against racism. Those who agreed with the amendment stated that they do indeed believe that Black Lives Matter, but changing the mural to state something else shows me that you all do not believe that Black Lives Matter. It speaks a lot to your character, because you are trying to exert a certain level of control and tell another group of people how to express themselves in a way that I don't believe you can understand. So being an ally and opposed to racism means that you have to be able to step back and understand that you will never understand fully what Black people go through, especially as it pertains to racism in the United States. A young Black boy was lynched yesterday in 2020, and police are doing the bare minimum. So when we say that Black Lives Matter, this is what we are talking about. We aren't asking anyone to make a political choice, and we're not asking anyone to put anybody over another. We're asking for equality and respect, and there's been a lot of talk of wanting to make sure that everyone feels uncomfortable, that make sure no one feels uncomfortable with the mural, and want to make everyone happy. And there's certain people who express that they will not be happy with this, and I think that we should just be honest and those people probably do not believe that Black Lives Matter, and they're probably racist because they do not have a valid reason for not want to have this painted on the road. So I don't think we should try to make racists comfortable because it's just, I don't understand why we would want to do that. It's just not fair to anyone else just because you dislike somebody because of the shade of their skin. And that's all.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Hemby. I appreciate it. Thank you for being a part of the conversation today as well. All right, Madam Clerk, our next speaker.
Okay. Next speaker is Talario Falk. Mr. Falk, if you can hear me, you have 3 minutes to address the mayor and city council. Mr. Falk, if you are in the room, you have 3 minutes to mute your mic and address the mayor and city council. To rejoin. Okay, so it looks like he may be having some technical difficulties and he has dropped out of the room.
Maybe we can come back to him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, let's move on to the next one. We'll come back to Mr. Falk when he comes back in.
Okay. Next registered speaker is Miss Megan Ellison. Miss Ellison, if you can hear me, you have 3 minutes to address the mayor and city council.
Hello, everyone. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of an echo.
Can't really fix that for some reason.
That's okay.
I would like to say that I was find it very disappointing about what's going on, even though I wasn't been able to hear as well throughout the meeting today. I just wanted to say that I work at a Boys and Girls Club for the youth department area from K through 5th, and seeing this mural go up, it will be a privilege for me to do this because I want my little young ones and my little kids from the Boys and Girls Club to see what their mentor had done for them, and I think it was really upsetting to hear what y'all had to say before, but I do thank the ones who did approve it. I really do. That's all I have to say right now.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Ellison. I appreciate it. And thank you for being a part of that meeting today as well. Madam Clerk, our next speaker.
Okay. Next registered speaker is Miss Norma Warren. Miss Warren, if you can hear me, you have 3 minutes to address the mayor and city council.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
On this evening, I am here to speak about the Black Lives Do Matter mural and my frustration with this Council's decision to alter the mural's meaning and purpose by removing the words Black Lives and Matter from the project. Council members Litchfield, Bell, Meyerhoeffer, and Mayor Connolly, each of you spoke Monday to the fact that you were embarrassed that the city of Greenville had never approved a work of public art by a Black artist. Let me ask you, are you still embarrassed today? Because as of this very moment, the city of Greenville still has not approved a work of public art proposed by Black artists. You had a chance to break that streak on Monday, but instead of approving or denying the project brought before you by 18 talented Black artists, you decided that you knew better. And the four of you created your own proposal and then told those 18 Black artists and all of Greenville that those artists can either create the mural of your choice or no mural at all. Council members Litchfield and Meyerhoeffer, we all heard you when you verbally stated how much Black lives matter. Mayor Connolly, we also heard how much you value Black lives and your affection for Mayor Pro Tem Glover. If all of you truly, and I mean truly, value the lives of Black people in this city, there should never be a problem highlighting that sentiment on any city street. Your verbal affirmation for the lives of Black people does not line up with the decision you made on Monday night to visually suppress that value. For months now, Emerge, the artists involved, and Black members of this community have worked with you diligently, making concession after concession on this project, bending to all of your requests to get this done because we knew this mural was worth it for the Black community. Mayor Connolly, when you place value on what the city has and is doing for the Black community by way of gyms, swimming pools, and trails, you not only compartmentalize the entire populace of your constituents, you insinuated that that population would be the only people utilizing those city amenities. It is not a coincidence that the first proposal for Black-made public art in this city also became the first proposal to be actively changed by the council without first considering the input of the artists involved. Although you may have good intentions, those intentions are questionable in this current unsettled climate. This may be painful to hear, but your decision devalues the lives of Black people and has added additional fuel to a smoldering flame. In light of the logistical nightmare you all created for the artists and the absolute disregard for the potential subliminal nod of validation the Black Lives Do Matter mural can create in Greenville, I'm asking you to once again, please revisit your decision and give these artists permission to move forward with their initial design. Council members, this is a new time. This is a new time.
Thank you, Ms. Warren.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, our next speaker.
Okay, next speaker is Ms. Rosanna King. Ms. King, if you can hear me, you have 3 minutes to address the mayor and city council.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Members of City Council, thank you so much for letting me speak with you tonight. My name is Rosanna King, and I am a citizen here of Greenville. And I wanted to speak about my displeasure on your decision to change the wording of the Black Lives Do Matter mural. This mural, in the tiniest little effort you could have put out, would have been able to show the Black community that they do matter in this climate. This climate isn't a new climate for Greenville. It's a climate that has been going on for decades. This is a very, very small effort that you could put out to show your constituents, the Black people of this community, that you care about them and that you see them. But instead, what you did by changing that wording is erasure at its most basic point. By having a white man change the wording of a work that was supposed to have been about bringing Black people together in our community was the basic definition of erasure. I would ask you to please go back and change your decision and give this control back to the artist who would put their time, effort, and talent into this project. And it's not just for the artist of our community. My children are biracial. I'm white. My children need to be able to see things in this community along with the Black children of this community, that they matter. Because I'm guaranteeing you right now, if you are a white household, you do not know what that feels like. You do not know what the constant underlying fear in this community is like. This was a small gesture. There are larger conversations that need to be had surrounding this issue, including free speech for the Black members of this community and Black identity. It is not here to make white people comfortable. You need to make sure that the Black people of this community are comfortable as well. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Ms. King. Madam Clerk, our next speaker.
I will go back to Mr. Talario Falk.
Okay.
Mr. Falk, if you are present in the room, you do have 3 minutes to address the mayor and city council.
Hello, can you all hear me well?
Yes, we can.
All right. I just wanted to start by saying thank you for having this so we can all speak and come together. And I'm glad we had our speak earlier. That moment, I believe that, we had a breakthrough where a lot of focus was brought to the table that weren't allowed or understanding was there. And a lot of those things have been harped on and focused on right here. And the basis of it is empathy. And I feel like that the empathy that was needed to, I guess, understand the people of the city of Greenville wasn't there. And that is unheartening because just like Kevon said earlier, you guys are in a leadership position. So basically you're the parents. And I'm like, and as a father, I understand that, a lot of times we don't understand the new generation that comes behind us because they have new ideals, but we cannot live our eyes in the past and hope that we're going to have a new future or a better future. Right now, we're in a climate of change and Greenville's behind the times. The citizens and everyone around this area from different counties view Greenville as one of the most racist places ever. And if that is the view that comes from the citizens here, we cannot keep making decisions that, solidify those views as being facts or perpetuate those views as being facts, even if they're not true. Because if you don't believe that, the choices that you make basically define who you are and define who we view of you. And it's not a threat, but as a promise, we see it as a presidency. We see what 4 years of not doing something that the people want has proven for presidents and has proven for Donald Trump. And I wouldn't like to see that for the people that we have here, because me personally, I have known PJ before he became the mayor. And I feel like that, as knowing him as a person, I don't believe that he's the type of person that would do that. So that's just my belief. But, I believe that we need those beliefs and what things that we, hold dear as Black people to be viewed upon, cared about by our people so that we can say that, Greenville is actually about making those changes. We are the housing of ECU. And me as the president of a fraternity that's Black in this, city, and me as being a parliamentarian and wanting to have, change and see things grow in this city, I want to see that happen. And I don't think that is viewed upon because, like saying, we're just trying to put words on the street and for someone to backdoor that, railroad that, and for people to worry about whether they can feed their family or have the jobs or get funding or things to be going the way they need to, it's just uncalled for, and it's mighty, very pathetic. And I think that we should do better. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Falk. I appreciate you also taking some time today to speak with myself and several other council members and some of the city staff today. So I appreciate working with you. Look forward to working in the future as well. Madam Clerk, our next speaker.
Okay, and that concludes our list of registered speakers for tonight. We do have a few minutes, so I will check the public input mailbox just to see if we've received any new messages. I just want to note that any messages that we did receive in that mailbox that we received prior to this meeting were mailed out to the mayor and city council. Okay. And I'm looking and we have not received any additional messages.
All right. Thank you very much. Without anyone else registered or signed up to speak during the public comment period, I'll close the public comment period and we'll move on to appointments. Move to Madam Clerk. We'll start with appointments to boards and commissions.
Okay. First board is the Environmental Advisory Commission. Councilmember Meyerhoeffer.
This is Meyerhoeffer. Continue. Thank you.
Okay. Next is the Human Relations Council. Mayor Pro Tem Glover.
I will continue that.
Okay. Next is the Pitt Greenville Convention and Visitors Authority, and I just want to note that the chamber has made their appointment for the chamber seat on that board. Miss Eileen Peacock is the new chamber representative. But we do have one city seat. Councilmember Meyerhoeffer.
This is Meyerhoeffer, still in the works, but I'll have to continue that. Thank you.
Okay. And finally, we have the Youth Council. Mayor Pro Tem Glover.
We're going to continue the Youth Council, and those who are eligible to be reappointed will reappoint those.
Okay. And we do not have any currently right now that are eligible for reappointment. And that concludes the boards and commissions appointments.
All right, that sounds good. So we'll move on to the appointments to the Audit and Investment Committee. Madam Clerk.
Okay. So you all have decided to update your audit committee to the audit and investment committee, and we just need 3 members of the city council to be appointed to that board, and that'll just require a motion by the city council.
Anybody would like to make a motion?
I'll move that we reappoint the existing members of the audit committee. But if somebody has a different recommendation, I'm certainly happy to hear it.
Second. All right. So motion's been made by Councilmember Smiley, second by Councilmember Bell, to reappoint all existing members of the audit committee. Is that correct? Okay. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say nay. I will call on the city clerk for the vote.
Okay. Just grab my roll call sheet. Mayor Pro Tem Glover.
Aye.
Councilmember Daniels.
Aye.
Councilmember Bell.
Aye.
Councilmember Smiley.
Aye.
Councilmember Litchfield.
Aye.
Councilmember Meyerhoeffer.
This is Meyerhoeffer. Aye.
And just to remind everybody, the members are Councilmember Smiley, Councilmember Meyerhoeffer, and Mayor Pro Tem Glover.
All right. Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. We'll now move on to new business, which are the public hearings. This is the policy of public hearings adopted by the City Council. The petitioner or a representative of the petitioner and a leader of those in opposition will each have 10 minutes. Persons following them will have up to 3 minutes each, with a total for each side no more than 30 minutes. Additionally, I want to remind those in attendance to extend the courtesy to persons speaking during the public hearing and to the City Council during discussions. Comments made by members of the public are to occur only during the public hearing as allowed by the mayor in accordance with the adopted policy of the City Council. There should be no interruptions of speakers or council members, including expressions of support or disagreements, verbally or by applause, as this is distracting and makes discussion difficult. We ask for your cooperation. Thank you. Madam Manager, let's proceed with the first public hearing.
Thank you, Mayor. The first public hearing tonight is an ordinance requested by 3810 Charles LLC to rezone 1.2354 acres located along the western side of Charles Boulevard, NC Highway 43 south of the intersection of the same and Fire Tower Road, from RA20 to heavy commercial. And planner Brad Sevior has that presentation. Brad?
Thank you. Let me share my screen real quick. All right. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. My name is Brad Sevior. I'm a planner on staff with the city. This project is located in the southeast quadrant of the city. You can see on this general location map where the red star is located. Here's an aerial of the subject property. You can see it's got a bunch of trees and an open field kind of deal. Here's a picture of the property. And you're facing across Charles Boulevard. You're facing west across Charles Boulevard, looking at the property in this photograph. Here's a survey. It's 1.2354 acres in total. The property is currently vacant. It's undeveloped right now. The subject property is not in the floodplain. It is, however, in the Fork Swamp watershed. And if stormwater rules were to apply, then it would be subject to 25-year detention as well as nitrogen reduction. There's also a jurisdictional stream and riparian buffer that may exist on the northern boundary of the property. The proposed rezoning has the potential to have a net increase of 503 trips per day versus the current zoning classification. The current zoning of RA20 would allow somebody to develop this property for about 3 single-family residences, and with the requested rezoning, they'd be able to put somewhere around 10,000 square feet of commercial development on the site. The future land use and character map designates this area for commercial, and you can see the commercial area kind of starts at the intersection of Fire Tower Road and Charles Boulevard, and it continues all the way down Charles Boulevard all along this side of the street, which is compatible with the requested rezoning classification. The Horizons 2026 future land use plan, as well as the future land use and character map, both comply with this request, and so staff recommends approval. And additionally, the Planning and Zoning Commission voted unanimously to recommend approval of the request at its October 22nd meeting. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
All right, thank you, Mr. Sevior. Are there any questions for our staff? All right, seeing none, the public hearing is now open. Those who speak on behalf of the applicant may come forward. Please state your name for the record. The first person has 10 minutes. All others have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor, Councilmember Ken Malpas. I'm representing 3810 Charles. This is the same entity that owns the property that Greenville Auto World has owned. They've had the chance to buy this property. They don't have any plan to use it at this time, but in the future, they, if the demand is there, they'll use it to park additional cars for sale, is the thought. Be glad to answer any questions.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Malpas. Are there any questions? All right, seeing none. Thank you very much. Anyone else that'd like to speak on behalf of the applicant may come forward. Please state your name for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Mayor Connolly, we do not have any additional registered speakers for this item, and I will see if we have received any messages in support of this item. And we have not received any messages in support.
Okay, thank you very much. Seeing none, we'll move on to those in opposition to the applicant may come forward. Please state your name for the record. The first person has 10 minutes. All others have 3 minutes.
Mayor Connolly, we do not have any registered speakers in opposition to this item, and I am looking at the inbox, and we haven't received any messages in opposition either.
All right. Thank you. Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Open for any board discussion. All right. No discussion. Pursuant to Senate Bill 704, the public has 24 hours after the conclusion of this public hearing to submit written comments, and such comments shall be forwarded to the council. Please see the city's website for instructions on how to submit comments. And just as a reminder that the intentions of the council will be to recess this meeting until November 16th to vote on the public hearings. All right. Madam Manager, we'll move on to the next public hearing.
Thank you, Mayor. The next public hearing is an ordinance requested by Langston Farm LLC to rezone 1.881 acres located at the northeastern corner of the intersection of South Memorial Drive and Regency Boulevard from office to general commercial. And again, Brad Sevior has that presentation. Brad?
Thank you. Let me share the screen again. Okay, you can see this project is located in the southern portion of the city. It's at the red star on this general location map. Here's an aerial of the property. It's an open field right now. As you can see, this picture is facing, it's looking across South Memorial Drive at the intersection of Memorial and Regency. You can see straight through the property to the subdivision behind. The survey shows this property is 1.881 acres in total. The existing land use is vacant. There's nothing on the site currently. The site is not in the floodplain at all. It's also in the Fork Swamp watershed. And so if stormwater rules were to apply, then 25-year detention as well as nitrogen reduction would be required for a project on this site. The requested rezoning has the potential to increase the net trips per day by 689 on this property. The current zoning, with the current zoning classification of office, you could expect to see maybe 5,000 square feet of office space on this property. And with the requested rezoning, you might see fast food restaurant on this type of intersection in this type of corner, and that'd be about 1,500 square feet of commercial development there. The future land use and character map designates this corner of the intersection as commercial. You may recall that this property recently had the future land use and character map amended. It was that office institutional, and you guys amended it to commercial just a month or so ago. And so the classification is compatible. The request is in compliance with the Horizons 2026 future land use plan, as well as the future land use and character map. So staff recommends approval of the request before you. And this project was also unanimously recommended by the Planning and Zoning Commission for approval at their October meeting. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Sevior. Any questions for our staff? All right, seeing none, the public hearing is now open. Those who speak on behalf of the applicant may come forward. Please state your name for the record. The first person has 10 minutes and all others have 3 minutes.
Okay, first registered speaker, Mr. Mayor, is Mr. Mike Baldwin. Mr. Baldwin, if you can hear me, you have 10 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. I'm Mike Baldwin. I represent Langston Farms, LLC. I referred to this piece of land earlier as the 2.3 mile stretch. Everything along about a 2.3 mile stretch along Memorial is zoned commercial or has a commercial use in this area, except this lot and then one more at the entrance to I think Belvedere subdivision there north of Greenville Toyota. We've gone through all the processes. We had the land use map amendment changed, and be glad to answer any questions.
All right, any questions for Mr. Any questions? Thank you, Mr. Baldwin.
All right, thank you.
All right. Anyone else would like to speak on behalf of the applicant, please come forward. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, we do not have any additional registered speakers, and I will take a look at the inbox. We have not received any messages in favor of this item.
All right, thank you. Those in opposition to the applicant may come forward. Please state your name for the record. First person has 10 minutes. All others have 3 minutes.
Mayor Connolly, we do not have any registered speakers in opposition to this item. And again, I have that inbox up, and we have not received any messages in opposition either.
All right. Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed, open for a board discussion. No discussion. Pursuant to Senate Bill 704, the public has 24 hours after the conclusion of this public hearing to submit written comments, and such comments shall be forwarded to the council. Please see the city's website for instructions on how to submit comments. And as a reminder, the council intends to recess this meeting until November 16th at 6 p.m. to vote on the public hearing. Madam Manager, our next public hearing.
Thank you, Mayor. The next public hearing is an ordinance requested by the Planning and Development Services Department to amend the city code by adding micro distillery as a special use in the downtown commercial district. This amendment includes a definition and additional setback standards, and I'll call on Chief Planner Shante Gooby for that presentation. Ms. Gooby.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm going to share my screen and show some slides. Give me 1 second. All right. Hopefully you can all see my slides.
We can.
We had interest from a person who wanted to open up a micro distillery, who's actually here tonight, who'll be speaking in favor of this. He wanted to do he has a micro distillery and wanted to be able to do it in Greenville. So he came in and he spoke to staff. Staff looked at this as we already had micro breweries, so micro distilleries were very similar, other than the product that they make. Microbrewery obviously makes beer, and a micro distillery makes spirituous liquors, which is what it's called under North Carolina law. But this was something that was going to be on a much smaller scale. This was not going to be a large scale. After looking at our microbrewery standards, we decided that those actually fit very well with the micro distillery. So we have used those same standards for this use. And so again, micro distillery is a facility for the distillation of spirituous liquors that is limited in location, size, and operation. This does allow for on-premise and off-premise consumption. This amendment will allow the use in the CD zoning district or downtown commercial with a special use permit. It does have a 5,000 square foot cap for distilling equipment, and the reason that that cap is there is in order to keep it on the micro scale. But then there's also a 30,000 minimum floor area, and again, that minimum is there to make sure that it is a distillery and would not be a de facto club. Again, as I've said, the standards are similar to microbreweries. They cannot charge a cover charge. This can be an accessory use to a restaurant. And the microbrewery itself can have accessory uses, which includes retail sales, food and beverages, tasting room, and entertainment. They must close at midnight, and if they have amplified sound, it's allowed, but not within 150 feet of residential uses. This text amendment and allowing micro distilleries downtown, again, encourages businesses to locate downtown. It encourages adaptive reuse of underutilized buildings, and it also increases the tax base of those vacant properties. This is a map showing all the properties within the city that are zoned CD, so everything that's shown in red. And then there are some examples in North Carolina of these same types of uses. In Snow Hill, there's actually a sweet potato farmers who are now making sweet potato vodka. This is Top of the Hill, which is in Chapel Hill, and they're actually a microbrewery and distillery. And then there are other locations throughout the state. And as you can see, there are large markets and then there are smaller markets. There are several policies within Horizons that supports this request. Policy 1.41, again, talks about support and control of uptown nightlife, promote uptown as a vibrant, walkable nightlife district, has a variety of high quality and responsible drinking and restaurants. This can attract and retain young professional workers that can help attract high quality employers. This does not mean nightlife activities need to be allowed to run out of control. Appropriate standards should be enforced. Also, preserving historic buildings and landmarks, again, trying to get businesses to locate in underutilized buildings, encouraging adaptive use of historic structures, and then also promoting the rehabilitation and reuse of commercial and industrial buildings. At the October 22nd, 2020 Planning and Zoning Commission, it unanimously recommended to approve the request, and I will be happy to answer any questions.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Gooby. Any questions for our staff? All right. Thank you. The public hearing is now open. Those who speak on behalf of the applicant may come forward. Please state your name for the record. The first person has 10 minutes. All others have 3 minutes.
Okay. First speaker is Mr. Trey Herring. Mr. Herring, if you can hear me, you have 10 minutes to address the mayor and city council.
Hey, Mr. Mayor and council members, I appreciate your time this evening. My name's Trey Herring. I'm the founder of Trey Herring's Craft Spirits. I've been in the spirits business for the past 11 years. I'm originally from Goldsboro, but I produce my Carolina bourbon brand down in South Carolina. And fortunately, the past couple of years, our General Assembly here in North Carolina has seen fit to pass and amend laws that has made it feasible now to open up a distillery and move my production here to Eastern North Carolina. There's nowhere else that I can imagine opening up a distillery in Eastern North Carolina other than Greenville. Greenville checks all the boxes, and I'm obviously in favor of this verbiage amendment. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have, and I appreciate your time this evening.
All right. Thank you very much. Are there any questions? Seeing none. All right. Thank you. Anyone else that'd like to speak on behalf of the applicant may come forward. Please state your name for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Mayor Connolly, we do not have any additional registered speakers, and I've got the inbox up, and we have not received any messages in favor of this item.
All right. Thank you. Those in opposition to the applicant may come forward. Please state your name for the record. The first person has 10 minutes. All others have 3 minutes.
Mayor Connolly, we do not have any registered speakers in opposition of this item, and we have not received any messages in opposition either.
All right. Thank you. The public hearing is now closed. Open for any board discussion. Seeing none.
Seems like a good idea. I'll say it seems like a good idea. How about that?
I appreciate the discussion. I would second that. Pursuant to Senate Bill 704, the public has 24 hours after the conclusion of the public hearing to submit written comments, and such comments shall be forwarded to the council. Please see the city's website for instructions on how to submit comments. Also, as a reminder, the council will intend to recess this meeting until November 16th at 6 p.m. to vote on those public hearings. Madam Manager, we'll move on to our final public hearing of the night.
Thank you, Mayor. The item number 6 is a second amendment to the 2020-2021 annual action plan for the CDBG CV dollars. And I'll call on Senior Planner Tiana Berryman for that presentation.
All right. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm going to share my screen with you. All right, so I will be presenting the second amendment for the 2020-2021 draft annual action plan. This is certainly a familiar plan to you all by this point. This is the second amendment to the plan, application for funds, if you will, for CDBG, CV, and home funding. The purpose for this amendment is an additional allocation of CDBG CV funds that's been made available to the city. Allocations as stands, just over $3 million. There's about a $40 difference from what was presented in the draft plan. That's because we received a small allocation adjustment within the past week, just about $40 or so. So that's been reflected in this PowerPoint, and the plan will be updated to reflect that as well. So just in case you're noticing that the dollar amount is a little different, that's why. Okay, so here's the proposed budget for the CDBG CV dollars. As I said, we've received a second allocation. That's the CDBG CV3. HUD made available 3 rounds of funding, and the city of Greenville received money in both the first and the third. So the third round, or our second round of funding, is just shy of $600,000. We're looking at about $116,000 for admin that would allow the city to bring on a consultant to help with management and administration of the business assistance, rental assistance, public service if needed, even though that aligns pretty closely with a program that staff is already managing, and any compliance type work that comes along with that. So we're looking at about a little over $400,000 to add to our business assistance program, and another $50,000 for public service. So our proposed outcomes look a little something like this. We are increasing our the number of businesses that we'd be able to assist at a full benefit of $15,000. So about 45 businesses will be able to assist. 150 families at a $1,500 benefit for rental assistance, and potential public service projects that might include activities like overflow for the shelter, internet assistance for virtual learning students, a Meals on Wheels program for quarantine individuals. These are just examples of activities that nonprofits can apply for to receive funding to support. And I will make note that while we are doing our best to kind of meet the needs as we are having conversations with different stakeholders and things of that nature, but there is flexibility built in. So if we start this program and see that, maybe we need to adjust, some of the funding from business assistance to shift it over to rental assistance or something of that nature, we do have the flexibility to do that. So staff recommendation, staff recommends approval of the amended plan and to be submitted to HUD and authorization for the mayor and or city manager to sign any necessary documentation.
All right.
I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Berryman. Any questions for our staff?
I just want to thank Ms. Berryman for her creativity, innovation, putting that together.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Ms. Berryman? I do have one question. As far as the businesses, how do they apply? And the second part of that question is, what can those funds be used for? I guess that you said the maximum is $15,000. Was that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So we are in the early stages, I guess, of putting together policy and procedures. When we do, staff has put together something of a draft, but we're following some best practices from other communities. We've been in touch with some larger cities who got a quick jump on funds and things like that. We are expecting to have the consultant who's had maybe a little more experience in this area come on board and help us with the design of the program. So we anticipate that once we have all those details worked out, we'll work quickly and closely with our communications team to get that information out. So we anticipate having an idea of what that would look like by the end of the year, and we'll be quick to get that information out to the business community.
It might be a little early for you to even comment on it, but do you have any idea as far as like the availability of those funds, like for businesses, like how soon they would be able to apply for it and potentially receive them after you do have a little bit more information?
So unfortunately, I don't have exact dates, and I wouldn't want to put something out there and disappoint anyone. We are at the mercy of HUD at this point, and so they have promised that they are working diligently to have a faster turnaround with approvals and things of that nature, but we would not be able to release funds until we get that final approval from HUD. So that would come after we were able to submit this amended action plan.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. Any other questions for Ms. Berryman? Seeing none, the public hearing is now open. Those who speak on behalf of the applicant may come forward. Please state your name for the record. The first person has 10 minutes. All others have 3 minutes.
Mayor Connolly, we do not have any registered speakers in favor of this item. And looking at the inbox, we haven't received any messages in favor either.
All right. Thank you. Those in opposition to the applicant may come forward. Please state your name for the record. The first person has 10 minutes. All others have 3 minutes.
Mayor Connolly, we do not have any registered speakers in opposition to this item. And again, looking at the inbox, we haven't received any messages in opposition.
All right. Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed, open for a board discussion.
I think this is all really interesting, and I appreciate your questions, Mayor. I think that the sooner we can get a sense of, what these funds can be used for and who can get them, and when they can expect to make use of them, the better the businesses will be, the better this community will be.
Right. Yeah, and I think it's going to be important to be able to provide that assistance not only for businesses but for families that are struggling with rent and mortgage payments, and then just the families in general that need the funding. So the sooner the better. But we all know how slow DC moves.
Yeah, I'm glad nothing's going on there that would divert HUD from this, from focusing on this.
Isn't that the truth? That's the truth. All right. Pursuant to Senate Bill 704, the public has 24 hours after the conclusion of the public hearing to submit written comments, and such comments shall be forwarded to the council. Please see the city's website for instructions on how to submit comments. And as a reminder, the council will intend on recessing to November 16th at 6 p.m. to vote on the following public hearings. And with that, we'll move on to other items of business. Madam Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. The next item is a resolution, a lease agreement from Greenville Utilities Commission for the use of parcel 18875. And again, Ms. Berriman has that presentation.
All right, I'm sharing my screen. Let's see. Uh-oh. Oops. Sorry.
There we
go. Okay. All right, so the resolution and lease agreement for Greenville Utility Commission's use of parcel 18875.
I'm sorry, you're not broadcasting.
A little background.
I can't actually see it.
I'm sorry.
Can you set it up into slideshow mode?
Sure can. I apologize.
Thank
Here we
you.
go.
Perfect. That's great.
All right. So a little background about this. As part of flood mitigation efforts back in 2002, the city acquired several parcels along North Green Street using FEMA and CDBG resources. This particular parcel was acquired using CDBG dollars, and CDBG regulations dictate the use of this parcel now and going into the future. Okay, so here's a picture of where this parcel exists, just over the river on North Green Street. Right, and the agreement simply would allow the city to retain ownership, install a pump station on this parcel. GEC will assume physical maintenance of the lot as well as liability for the property. And so these are all in line with these expectations that are laid out with the use of CDBG dollars. So staff recommendation. Staff recommends approving the resolution and lease agreement with GEC for the use of parcel 18875 for a pump station. I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right. Thank you for that presentation. Any questions for Ms. Berriman?
And are you able to entertain a motion on this, Mayor?
Absolutely.
I move we approve.
Second. All right. Motion's been made by Councilmember Smiley, second by Councilmember Litchfield. Did I get that? No, I'm sorry. It's Councilmember Bell. You beat him to the punch, I think, right? All right. So Council.
Finish.
Motion's been made by Councilmember Smiley, second by Councilmember Bell. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say nay. I will call on the city clerk for the vote.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Glover.
Aye.
Councilmember Daniels.
Aye.
Councilmember Bell.
Aye.
Councilmember Smiley.
Aye.
Councilmember Litchfield.
Aye.
Councilmember Meyerhoeffer.
Meyerhoeffer, aye.
All right. Mayor, that's 6-0 in approval.
Thank you very much. We'll now move on to item number 8, Madam Manager.
Mayor, item number 8 is a discussion of the 500-foot spacing rule. This was a request by Councilmember Will Bell. We do have Senior Planner or Chief Planner Shante Gooby has a brief presentation.
We have my screen. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. And we also have Planning and Development Services Director Tom Barnett on the phone on the line as well to discuss it. Okay, Ms. Gooby.
Okay, hopefully everyone can see our slides. This is very short, just a short history. The club spacing requirements were established in 2010. There's a 500-foot spacing requirement between clubs. That's measured from lot lines, not buildings. And then there's also a 500-foot spacing requirement between single-family dwellings or zoning districts and clubs. And again, that's also measured lot line to lot line. These are the public and private clubs downtown. You have the ones that are shown in blue. Those have special use permits, and then the ones shown in red are the ones that are pre-existing, or what a lot of times we just call grandfathered in clubs. And then the yellow in the background is the 500-foot spacing requirement, and what this really just shows you is the fact that there is no room for any other bars and clubs at this point. So this is just a blow up more of the downtown area. You can see we've numbered all of them and referenced those over in the table for what places are which. I will go ahead and just point out number 3 and 4, those currently are occupied by ECU, and number 8 is currently vacant. And then back in 2018, staff did a survey of other university-based cities and how they regulate their clubs. And generally, most of them do not have a spacing requirements between clubs or even from residential uses. Some of them do, however, have spacing requirements between clubs and places of worship and school. And then again, back from 2018, these are some cities, again, that have large universities at them that do not have spacing requirements. That's Chapel Hill, Wilmington, Boone, and Asheville. And that is the end of my slides. I'm going to unshare. Okay, there you go. And I'll be happy to answer any questions on those slides.
Any questions for Ms. Gooby? I know Councilmember Bell, I think you were the one that requested this, so I'm sure you may have some comments that you'd like to make.
Yeah, I don't have any questions. If anybody does, feel free to ask them. If not, I can make some comments.
I have a question. So did I understand you correctly? You said there's no room for any other clubs at this point with this rule?
That's correct. Within the downtown, within the horseshoe area. Yes, ma'am.
But to clarify, there are no other. There's no additional room for any bars. Restaurants could be permitted. It has to do with the mix between alcohol and food. Correct?
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
I have a question.
Do
any of the other entities, places that we looked at, and I think we may have talked about this, it was a couple of years ago, have any type of regulations or requirements that are not strictly density based, but that but are focused on maintaining quality and I guess calm in entertainment districts that are not, just like I said, that aren't based upon a simple yardstick measurement?
Council member, this is Tom Barnett. To answer the question, we haven't seen anything. I think that's specific. I think the difference is it may have been the initial investment, having to comply with building codes and the zoning districts, so the investment was higher, and therefore they operate a bit different than I think some of our clubs downtown. So we didn't see a lot of additional regulation. I think it's the other things going on, the people that are coming down to go to them result in the difference. In our downtown, after 5, usually there's not much else to do, other than the existing clubs we have down there. It's not like we have a large population of people coming down there much after business hours shut down.
So there's nothing that would characterize an entertainment district that other towns are using that is...
There are specific things and encouragements. Raleigh has a number of entertainment districts. You had mentioned that the last time we discussed this, so we took a look at those entertainment districts, and they are trying to attract a certain kind of thing. But what I'm saying in answer to your first question is the legislation itself isn't prescribing that much how they operate. I think it's more of the general atmosphere and that there's other things there. if we were to entertain, if council wished to entertain a entertainment district here, sorry for the pun, there are ways we could control how the club operates. The new clubs, they would have to come into compliance with new building regulations. Therefore, there'd have to be a lot more investment. It could be sprinkling. The number of people that could gather would be more limited. Zoning could require limits on the hours of operation, for example. We could have new clubs close at a different time than the existing club. So with that comes a lot of tools if you want to think about using them.
Sign language for the letter P.
Thank you. Gary, you're not muted, Gary, just so you know.
Thank you.
That was all my questions, Mayor. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Anybody have any other questions before I turn it over to Councilmember Bell for some comments? All right. Councilmember Bell.
All right. Thank you, staff, for preparing this item. I really appreciate it. And I know we've had some discussion about it, over the last 2 years or so. After talking with staff and kind of understanding, I know that we're a couple of people down in the planning department right now and trying to get those positions filled hopefully soon. I feel like we need to give staff a little bit of time to make sure that we've got a clear plan moving forward. I think that the reason I put this on the agenda is I think, we definitely have a decent amount of vacancies in our commercial spaces downtown right now. This is an opportunity for us to, diversify our nightlife entertainment options for, everybody in the city of Greenville, and think it's a, great time with COVID to, go ahead and spend some, attention on this and try and help fill some of those vacancies. So that was really the reason that I, decided to ask, to put this on the agenda. If there aren't any objections, I would like to move that we direct staff to get a plan together for us and come back in our first meeting in March with direction or a recommendation on where to head.
If I may, can I speak?
Absolutely.
To that end, I wanted just to say briefly a couple of things. One is, we know it's a sensitive item, and so if you give us direction to do that, we will absolutely make sure to reach out to the stakeholders and the partners that are involved and care about our downtown and involve them entirely in the process, so that when we get to choices for you, you would know that you have, what support you would have from the various downtown and citywide stakeholders regarding this issue. And then secondly, if you do give us that direction, we think we could probably come back to you a little quicker in terms of some ideas and looking for some, maybe a list of choices that you could select from. And if we were to get that, then I think we could come back with legislation in spring, like you were saying, council member, and have it ready to move forward if that's the wishes of council.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So there's been a motion by Councilmember Bell.
Before we, I'm happy to second it at some point, but I actually would like, and maybe somebody should second it first, but I think we should probably state out loud what some of our goals are. What do we, we want staff to come back for a plan to, to change the way in which we're addressing, these, the separation requirements uptown, and so what's the goal, right? We're getting rid of, we want to, nominally, I guess, we're to get rid of the 500-foot rule and allow additional, businesses to open up in the area that are currently barred by the 500-foot rule. But are there other goals that we want staff to pursue? I guess would be my question.
Councilmember Bell, you want to comment on that?
I think that there's been a significant amount of time, over the last 2 years, kind of discussing this. I think that in my discussions with staff, in preparation for this agenda item, they have gotten some feedback from me on what I would like to see. I don't know if there's anything specific any other council members, have to add, but obviously I would like to, keep the spacing requirement in place for, 500 feet from single family dwellings and places of worship. I think that's, pretty important. I don't want to, infringe on people's neighborhoods and, bring noise to, different neighborhoods throughout the city that, potentially or are, buffered by commercial district or commercial development. So, obviously I'd like to see that stay in place, and I've discussed a couple other things with staff, but Councilmember Smiley, if you have anything you'd like to add, please feel free.
Well, I guess my concern is that some of, we're talking about things which have been said to staff, but I don't know that they've been said in public. And I think if we're going to give staff this direction, we ought to go ahead and say these things. I know I've gotten contact from various citizens who are concerned about this, and I'm actually probably in favor of revising the way we do things downtown, but I think that we should be open and direct as to what we're trying to accomplish by making, by having staff to draft a new plan. I think we should just probably put on the record what it is, the things we've been explaining to staff we'd like them to be looking at and why. And I'm happy to do that too. I'm not trying to put, I'm not trying to throw you under the bus here. I just think that, it's probably worth saying out loud what we want to do.
It probably will ease a lot of those fears of those phone calls that you're getting right now too, as well. So, Councilmember Bell, you got anything else you'd like to add to it? Or does anybody else have anything else as far as direction for the staff?
Yeah, I'm open to any recommendations from other members of council. The main thing I'm concerned about is just making sure we don't infringe on those neighborhoods. I would like to, I want the rule, changed a little bit, because I think that, more competition in our downtown and more diversification of nightlife, opportunities and options, is a good thing for, all the citizens. I'll leave the actual, nuts and bolts to the staff, and happy to be involved in any of the discussions, any of the stakeholder input sessions. I know I was in the Uptown Greenville board meeting this morning with the stakeholders, and addressed with them that I had added this item to the agenda. Feedback that I got was very positive. They were obviously interested in staying in the loop on things and wanted to be able to give their input, but feedback was very positive. If anybody has any recommendations, feel free to give them.
I guess so. To start with, are we? Is part of the goal to make it easier for bars to open up? Right now, as the manager said, you can open up now as a restaurant, but you can't open up as a bar because I think you have to sell at least 30% food. So it sounds like one of our goals is to simply make it possible for new bars to open up without having this as strong a food requirement. Is that a fair summary?
Yeah, absolutely. There's concepts that are out there where there's not necessarily a food concept tied to it, and so there's some people that they're interested in being in the nighttime entertainment business, but might not necessarily be great at cooking, or might not have a concept at all that has anything to do with food. And so I think this gives an option out there for those that are looking to invest, and create some opportunities for people to go out and enjoy themselves. It gives those people an opportunity to get some skin in the game.
And then I assume I don't know the extent to which this is limited now, but live entertainment, music, that sort of thing is certainly something that it seems like that, the vibrant, active late night economies and late night districts seem to thrive on that, right? And so we'd want to make sure that, anything we were doing that was making that difficult was considered, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would love to be able to, see some live entertainment included in this. I don't think it's anything that we should mandate as a part of opening a new establishment, but I definitely, think we should, make it easier for people to provide live entertainment if they, so wish.
And then lastly, I think we consistently get comments about diversity issues in the establishments that are open at various times of town. And presumably, if it were easy for new ones to open up, then perhaps some of those concerns could be addressed as well. Is that something we hope staff will be incorporating into this?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to see this open to anyone and everyone. If you're going to put in the time, effort, and money, we'd love to have you in the downtown.
And then the last thing I would throw out there, and I'm not trying to grill you, Councilman Bell. I'm just trying to, throw it. Okay. I guess because when you and I talked, I only see you on Zoom calls, so I feel like that, oh my God, it's. But I'm sure we also want staff to, to work with, our public safety group that, and the police, because I know that, policing has been a challenge down there. It may or may not be a challenge now with, some of the decreased activity, but one presumes it will be again. And, as we open, if we're going to, change the way in which the way we're approaching the area in terms of regulation, then there may be changes that can happen in the way in which we approach policing or the some of the ordinances we're currently have in place down there. So that was I'm not directed at at Councilman Bell. Yeah. That was a statement of my own as to I think it should be part of what staff is looking at.
Absolutely. I mean, I'd love to see Thomas Conte come back to us with some recommendations and some early research and seek some more guidance from us. I'm sure they'll have some proposals at that time that we can all consider and discuss. But yeah, I think this is a good starting point for them, definitely.
Yeah, and my concern would be just not removing the 500-foot rule simply to remove the 500-foot rule, but do it as part of a comprehensive strategy for creating the kind of late night economy that that the community wants to see down there. And obviously Tom Burnett already referenced, including the stakeholders in that, so that, it's not the economy I want to see or the economy Will Bell wants to see. It's the economy that our community would like to see, and the environment that people can go down there and enjoy themselves.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right. Any other comments or questions? And there is a motion out on the table right now. Councilmember Bell has a motion.
I'll second that since I've asked so many impertinent questions about it.
All right. The motion's been seconded by Councilmember Smiley. Madam Clerk, do you still have the motion, or do you need clarification based off the discussion that's taking place?
Yeah, I just want to make sure. So what I've got is Councilmember Bell's motion was to direct staff to prepare a plan analyzing the 500-foot rule and bring it back to the council at the first meeting in March.
All right. Is that good? Councilmember Bell?
Yes.
All right.
I would just add, or sooner if they can do it.
Yeah. Is that feasible, Madam Manager? You're on mute.
Mayor, I think that what Mr. Barnett indicated is that we could bring back a presentation to the council in February that might provide some decision points that would help us. Sorry, it always happens. That would help us finesse a more defined plan or ordinance that we would bring back in March. So we would expect to bring something to you a little sooner, but it might be so that we can just sort of assess where you are, see, do you want option A or B, so that we can take that back and really fully draft out the ordinance. Now I'm going to turn the light on in my office, okay?
All right. Sounds good. There we go. All right. Any other discussion before we take a vote? Seeing none. Okay. Motion's been made by Councilmember Bell, second by Councilmember Smiley. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say nay. I'll call on the city clerk for the vote.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Glover? You're muted.
Aye.
Okay. Councilmember Daniels?
Before I place my vote, so we're just voting on giving the staff direction, correct? Okay, aye.
Councilmember Bell?
Aye.
Councilmember Smiley?
Aye.
Councilmember Litchfield?
Aye.
Okay. Councilmember Meyerhoeffer?
Meyerhoeffer, aye.
All right. That's 6-0 in approval, Mayor.
All right. Thank you very much. We'll now move on to the city manager's report.
Mayor, I just wanted to advise the council and the community that there is a lot of rain out there and we are seeing some flooded streets. And so please ask everybody to be very careful and to turn around and don't drown. So please do not drive through flooded streets. That's my only report this evening, Mayor.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much. We'll now move on to comments from the mayor and the city council. Let's start with Councilmember Meyerhoeffer this time.
I like that catchy phrase, Madam Manager. Turn around, don't drown. You're going to hashtag that? I don't have any other comment, though. Thank you very much.
All right. Councilmember Litchfield.
You're muted.
No comment.
All right. Councilmember Smiley.
I have no comments, Mayor.
All right. Councilmember Bell.
I'd like to congratulate city staff and our mayor for the ribbon cutting yesterday on the Town Creek culvert. Great project to have completed. And I know there's a lot of business owners in our downtown that are extremely excited that it's finished as well. So congratulations to city staff. Thanks for all the hard work and the planning. And that'll be it for me, Mayor.
All right.
Is it being used? Is any of this water going into it? Is it?
It's like a wild river right now.
Yeah, I think unfortunately, I think the river is not going to have much room left over after this weekend. Councilmember Daniels.
I too would like to urge everyone to be careful out there tonight with all the water and the flooding that's going on. And I also want to thank Mr. Randall Leach and some of the artists for meeting with us today. It was very productive. It's a beginning. I think it's important for them to know that we value their art and what it is that they do. And that's it for me tonight. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Daniels. Mayor Pro Tem Glover.
I'd just like to thank all the people who came out to talk tonight in support of the art of whatever we're going to end up with. And I'm looking forward to meeting with the group tomorrow. Thank you.
All right. I would like to reiterate what Councilmember Daniels had stated too. I want to say thank you to Mr. Leach and all the artists that took time out of their day to be able to meet with myself and Councilmember Daniels and Councilmember Bell and be able to have a upfront discussion with one another, get a better understanding of where everyone sits and the importance of project for the group. So I just want to say thank you to all of them. I appreciate their openness and willingness to talk to us. And I look forward to continuing those discussions as we move forward. And like Councilmember Daniel said, this is just the beginning. I also want to say, wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Of course, we'll be back here on Monday, the 16th, but we will not have comments from the mayor or the council. So I want to wish everyone a happy and safe Thanksgiving. Make sure that you continue to look out for COVID-19. It is still out there. Make sure that you are continuously wearing masks when you're unable to be separated and socially distanced from one another. Make sure you're practicing good hygiene as far as washing your hands, and also make sure that you're looking out for those that are most vulnerable in our community. And if you travel, please be safe when you travel. And understand that the virus is very infectious, and we do not want to see any additional spikes in those cases. So please keep that in mind. And with that, I would send it over to our attorney, Mr. McGirt, to take us into closed session.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mayor and council members, the city administration requests that council adopt the following motion: holding a closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143, 318.11 for the following reasons: to discuss matters relating to the location or expansion of industries or other businesses in the area served by the public body, including an agreement on a tentative list of economic development incentives that may be offered by the public body in negotiations. Second reason, to consult with an attorney employed by the public body in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege regarding a pending claim involving the city and the public body may consider and give instructions to the attorney regarding the handling of the claim. That is the motion.
All right.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Anyone want a second? All right. Motion's been made by Councilmember Smiley, second by Mayor Pro Tem Glover. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say nay. I'll call on the city clerk for the vote.
Mayor Pro Tem Glover?
Aye.
Councilmember Daniels?
Aye.
Councilmember Bell?
Aye.
Councilmember Smiley?
Aye.
Councilmember Litchfield?
Aye.
Councilmember Meyerhoeffer?
Meyerhoeffer, aye.
Okay, Mayor, that's 6-0 in approval.
All right. We are officially in closed session. I guess we will pause now.
now.
Here we go. All right, we're back out of closed session. We need a motion to recess until November 16th at 6 p.m. to vote on the public hearings that were addressed tonight.
So moved.
All right.
Give it to the driver.
All right, that was a motion by Councilmember Smiley, second by Councilmember Daniels. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say nay. I'll call on the city clerk for the vote.
All right, Mayor Pro Tem Glover.
Aye.
Councilmember Daniels.
Aye.
Councilmember Bell.
I'll say aye if Rose will smile first. Aye.
Councilmember Smiley.
Aye.
Councilmember Litchfield.
Aye.
Councilmember Meyerhoeffer.
Aye.
That is 6-0 in approval, Mayor.
Thank you very much, and we will see everyone here on Monday night, the November 16th at 6 p.m. to vote on the public hearings. Hope everybody has a good evening. Be safe if you're out driving, and we'll see you Monday night.
Night.
Goodbye.